Hey everybody, so we're downtown Salt Lake City. Get a little bit of a view around here. We're actually at 222 South Main Street, I think. And this is we have brought our bit of a sage offering to the headquarters of Goldman Sachs here in Utah, and just wanting to again continue this program of impact investing. Goldman Sachs, they're not on the door anywhere, but there's two offices, actually three in the greater Salt Lake City area, two downtown. One is at 222 South Main, which is an interesting number if anybody has thoughts about that number. The other one is 111 South Main Street. And I believe that this is part of the industrial banking division of Goldman Sachs. There's a third office in Draper, Utah. And there are not a lot of other branches. There's like the New York branch, the Jersey City branch, there's a Texas branch, there's a Boston branch, I think. But there's not a lot of branches. So the fact that Salt Lake City has three distinct presences of Goldman Sachs is interesting. I gave a presentation last night, and Salt Lake City had the first pre-K social impact bond. And so that was significant because that is sort of leading to the surveillance play tables and probably likely the push for digital identity for toddlers. And again, we were just at Evernym, which is was doing the pilot blockchain identity for the state of Illinois. And so the fact that Goldman Sachs, they relocated and they set up their office here in 2004. And, I'm sure they probably, had, a less expensive labor force. I know they hired a lot of kids out of BYU. They're, essentially Goldman Sachs, Ian Galloway of the San Francisco Federal Reserve, at a presentation of Ready Nation about impact investing in early childhood, said essentially that Goldman Sachs is making this market out of thin air, that almost all of the social impact bonds have a Goldman Sachs presence. And so it's really significant just to be here and again state that we're not consenting to the human capital bond agenda, to the social impact bond agenda, to blockchaining our children to Goldman Sachs. We know that these hedge fund, these gambling games are not for the good of humanity, and we're refusing. So I have a bit of sage here that I'm gonna put at the base of this statue with our non-consent, a little tobacco offering, and I think we're gonna walk down to 111 shortly just to see what's going on down there. It's another block, but for the most part, I think many people are not familiar with industrial banking systems, but I do think that they're going to be central to the social impact human capital bond program. We parked about a block away and we're walking through. There's a lot of banking interests around here: Chase, Citigroup, Alta Bank, US Bank, other financial interests. But there was like a co-working space called the Impact Hub. So, definitely the impact stuff. We're hoping to go over to the University of Utah, the David Eccles School with the Sorensen Impact Center there next. So again, it doesn't look super, a lot like there's a lot going on here. It's just, a glass building, right? Like I keep saying, the banality of evil. It's just, a regular office building. They've got the bike share bikes and everything. Okay, so we just walked up the block. Now we're at the other Goldman Sachs office. So this is 111 Main Street. Again, it doesn't say Goldman Sachs, but based on their address online and their Bloomberg profile, this is one of their offices, the industrial bank. And, it's interesting because if you look in the lobby in here, you'll see there's a giant screen with this amazing sort of landscape. It's maybe kind of hard to tell, but look, see, the landscape is changing. And I would say the screen is about 15 feet high by 30 feet wide. It's pretty impressive. And if you watch the screen, it's mostly sort of this beautiful landscape of the Salt Lake City area and of Utah, and it's telling you to visit. But it's all I can think of when I see that is that what happens when we're all stuck inside and doing our human capital pathways programs and we're not actually ever allowed to go out in nature again, that this is this virtualized sort of hyper-realized version of nature. So, there's a trolley going by, so it's kind of loud. So I'll just say, in Utah and in Salt Lake City, a major force in sort of policy, setting policy, and politicians, many individuals are connected with the Church of Latter-day Saints, and the church has pretty immense holdings, investment holdings, including real estate holdings. And so it is my understanding that this particular building that Goldman Sachs is occupying is part of that overall portfolio of the LDS Church. So, it's all knit together, all of these things. I will just do sort of a quick view. This is a smart city. It's ostensibly a gigabit smart city. And, we're seeing those stupid scooters and, smart bikes that we've got around. But I have to say there's very little small cell installation, 5G installation for a gigabit city. So I'm not sure how that is all working out, because in Philadelphia, we are lousy with 5G technology and the small cells, multiple cells per block, not just the big towers, but the cylindrical and the rectangular cell-based infrastructure. So I'm not seeing this here. Our next stop is we're going to swing over to the University of Utah, which is the home of one of the first 4 nodes of the ARPANET. So we're going to check that out. And also James Sorensen has endowed a social impact R&D center at the David Eccles School of Business over there. So those are going to be the next 2 pieces. But again, wanting to make sure that we hit Goldman Sachs and talked a little bit about the fact that their hands are over almost all of the social impact bonds, and that the first pre-K social impact bond was coming with the backing of Salt Lake City. I think it was the Granite School District. And I believe that it was wrapped around in this idea of wraparound services and community school services is going to be where this is going. So definitely something to keep an eye on as the new Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, comes on board. And we know that there's immense need for families after sort of all of this broader economic dispossession. But then is that going to be a way to harm, again, those communities by turning them into impact commodities, or is there going to be another course?